Hello, everyone. Welcome to Raising Vibrations. You with Simon today. And in today's video, as you can see on the screen, we're going to be looking at Saturn Direct. And this will be for the 29th of September, 2020. So we're going to be looking at Saturn's direct movement through up until the end of December, the 21st, when it's going to enter Aquarius. So Saturn's movement direct in Capricorn. And of course, what we can do to support ourselves with Saturn's energy moving forward for the last time in Capricorn for another 29 years. So this is a good opportunity for us to really solidify a lot of personal growth and to really anchor in these words here: solidify, anchor in Capricorn energy into our lives, and a structure that will support us going forward, support you going forward, right? So since Saturn has been entering or has been moving through Capricorn, we have been working on a couple of things, right? Individually, we have been working on our ability to emotionally take charge of our lives. That's a really big thing, especially if you are somebody who had a very poor Saturn structure when you were growing up. This would have been a really challenging period, because obviously Saturn requires us, or individuation, the ability to experience and express and discover and explore and live as one's self, true self. You need structure. You need a discipline in life. You need something that anchors you into the physical. You need emotional grounding. And if a lot of those experiences weren't shown to you when you were growing up, this transit would have been very liberating now, but probably very difficult in the beginning. So individually, Saturn's transit through Capricorn has been a process of emotional transformation in terms of becoming more adult-like, right? So we have taken our ability to feel our childlike nature, which is creative and open and exploration oriented, and we have said, okay, what is the parent that's going to support that child from the perspective of where you are today in your life, as opposed to when you were actually 7 years old and were deeply reliant on your parents and their conditioning and their values and their world view. So this period for us, Saturn in Capricorn, has been giving us the experiences and tools to support our ability to parent ourselves. Really big and important development within our ego structure. So Saturn and Capricorn individually, growing up, right? Emotionally being able to accept your life, accept your journey, to take accountability for your life, and to allow yourself to get the things that you really want in your life, right? Put in the time. Saturn is time to nurture, grow, and facilitate your dreams. Collectively, Saturn in Capricorn, as I talked about in a lot of videos earlier in this year and last year as well, this is where we have become very conscious of the karma that the collective has around Capricorn themes, which is to say that we are learning about what types of rules and regulations, what types of boundaries we feel are supportive and, in a sense, able for us to see what can keep us emotionally regulated as a society and not. And as you can see in the world, that has been a disaster. There are small pockets of structures that have come in place that have been really supportive, but overall, in general, Saturn has really revealed to us where the system of structure is senescent, right? It is frayed. It has run its course. It is no longer part of the future. It's out of date. And that transit of Saturn through Capricorn for us individually showed us where our structure was out of date. And then as an extension, we saw that in the world in terms of how we conduct ourselves. So the other major part about Saturn's Capricorn transit has to do with revealing to us our collective shadow. That's a really intense topic, to be honest. As much as it sounds very cliche and clicky at the moment to say I'm doing shadow work, a lot of people who have actually gone through the experience, and this is not to diminish anybody that has had a wonderful flowering experience of bunnies and rainbows, but the experience of doing your shadow work, and I'll describe what I mean by shadow work specifically because I have a very specific definition of it, is it is really, really, really a intense, oftentimes very scary, and ultimately liberating experience. They're part of it being part of the collective shadow being exposed is where we see a tremendous amount of collective and individual emotional dysregulation. So we get triggered by everything. We get affected by things, and then our nervous system goes out of whack, and then that nervous system creates a psychological reaction, and so we're stuck in these kind of states of fight or flight or fawning or freeze, right? So you think about coronavirus as an example. When that came through in March, each and every single one of us responded and reacted to the news and the impressions coming through Facebook and all of the other random places. Our nervous system reacted to it. And that response that came from the nervous system then became projected into the internet, and then the internet became a reflection of our internal state, Saturn Capricorn. Why? Because the archetype of Capricorn in its feminine state, as in its organic state, Capricorn is yin, is restriction, limitation, and reflection. Right? That's why Saturn will be, or Capricorn will be associated with hindsight, because it's our process of looking back over our choices, decisions, actions. And how do we feel? Polarity point of Capricorn is Cancer. How do we feel in relation, Capricorn square Libra, Cancer square Libra, to our choices, actions, and behaviors? Aries square Capricorn, Aries square Cancer, Aries oppose Libra, Libra oppose Aries. Do you see the cardinal cross showing up here? So we have been in this really, really, it's almost like somebody described it to me yesterday, and I thought it was pretty cool. It was like we're all in this washing machine, and we're just rolling around, just trying to like hang on to some form of stability. And a major reason for that rolling around, kind of just being washed aside, etc., is that Saturn has been saying, here's where you are likely to be emotionally upset, hung up, or affected by things. And here's what type of structure you could use in your life to support your self as you get exposed to the tremendous amount of emotional dysregulation being amplified in the collective, right? And we will see that through, I mean, you just need to go onto YouTube and you need to type in COVID-19 and then just watch all of the different expressions that will manifest, ranging from people who believe it is a conspiracy, from people who are saying, here are the facts, or people who are saying this, that, and the next thing. And what you're really observing is our ability and our nervous system responding to it relative to our own individual state, right? So we have a perception of reality, and then we respond to something, and then that perception of reality becomes the projection, right? So you can see the multiple perspectives, including my own, the multiple perspectives that will be presented to you, and you are taking those in, And Saturn says, okay, well, which one of those realities, Saturn, reinforces your own biases or confronts your own biases? And is it healthy for you or not? Are you aligning with a certain structure and that is supporting you or not? These are the types of questions. And so come back to the archetype of the shadow here. When we talk about shadow work in this sense, I'm not talking about a pop narrative now that is becoming very culturally out there. I'm talking about a deep, intense personal inquiry into the nature of not only your childhood trauma, but also looking at the nature of your life and how you psychologically and emotionally validate experiences unconsciously that reinforces a specific reality that, when challenged, brings out a aspect of your nature that is the antithesis of love or the antithesis of openness in that way. And again, one of the things, and this is what I want to announce to for everybody today, as I lead into the next part of this conversation, I highly encourage you, highly, 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 highly encourage you, every single one of you, even if you already have, go back again, to research polyvagal theory, okay? Research polyvagal theory. Dr. Stephen Porges and Deb Dana, to name a few, are really, really, they brought great material to be able to understand how the nervous system works. And I encourage you to take in the understanding of it and spend time with it, Saturn, to get connected with how your nervous system responds to life. It becomes sensitive to how your nervous system reacts and responds to your everyday life. Become conscious of when you shut down. Become conscious of what it is that when you shut down is overwhelming. Pay attention to these things. The reason why I'm saying this is because when Saturn and Jupiter enters Aquarius, you will no longer have the opportunity of Saturn's energy, groundedness in Capricorn to support you when things get wacky. Okay? It's going to be a lot more difficult. So if you start to work with and integrate tools that are supportive to your own welfare, emotional welfare, and you focus on yourself and what it is that you need to give yourself the best opportunity to deal with your reality, then this is by far, in my opinion, the message that I want to share with you today on this video. So in a sense, I would even go as far as to say there isn't really any meaning for me to go further in this conversation, because that's what you should focus on. Or let me put it to you this way, in a very non-directive Saturn kind of way. I encourage you to look at that. Okay, we'll look at the astrology. I'm just kidding, by the way. But yes, so polyvagal theory. I will look at the internet to find out one of the resources that I think is really, really supportive, and then I'll post it in the links for you to go check out. I also encourage you to click on the link that I will post in the description and also the comments for Pete Walker's website. And I encourage you to go look at the article on codependency, and in particular, how and why those codependent states were in a sense internalized. And we all have it. We all people please. We all look to kind of in some way, shape, or form have our emotional attachment needs met in some way. And so go look at that website, Pete Walker. Look on the left-hand side, you will see that there is a whole entire tab of various different things, of supporting mechanisms and tools that you can use to begin investigating and taking into your life as we move from the 29th of September all the way to the 21st of December. Okay. Attachment theory. Go have a look at what type of attachment style you have, understand the importance of why attachment styles, why we have different ones and how that influences us. That's something that's really important. I'll put a link to that as well. Go and read about that, go and investigate it, go and then take conscious action, Mars retrograde in Aries, Chiron in Aries, and go and pay attention to how these work. Become conscious of these things, become aware of these things, right? To me, it's more important to become conscious of these things and then to begin seeing them play out in your life and then making slow, progressive adjustments in your day and in your life, so that eventually at some point when you really, really meet somebody that you really feel open and connected with, whether it be a friend, you can learn about the things that you're sensitive with and be able to, Saturn in Capricorn, own your own emotional state. All right. Okay. Own your own emotional state. That is the shadow work of the collective. We are all, through the Virgo Pisces axis over the last 2,000 years, lived in a world in which we have Piscean ideals, which is every single person that we meet, we put a circle around them and we say, please, you are responsible for my feelings. You're responsible for my feelings. You're responsible for my feelings. And when I say no in a relationship, it means abandonment from the other side, because we're so used to just attaching to the person and letting them feel guilty when they say no, because they don't want to hurt you, because we have not learned the tools of emotional regulation, right? And this includes me. I am not standing here in any way whatsoever saying that I have perfected this, not even by any close. So this is about learning how to become aware of these things. Okay. And then finally, if you are, and I do encourage this, there's been a lot of people that have given me some really, really amazing feedback, and I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. It actually manifested itself because of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, the Saturn Workshop. So I created a 4-video course that specifically puts all of what I've shared with you in a 1 hour, each video series is 1 hour, like put it into a format that you can digest and use as tools as you work with Saturn in your chart. So the Saturn Workshop is available on my website. I will put a link in the description as well as the comments below. That is me taking everything in and saying, hey, here's my personal direct experience of how I have used this on me, how I've applied it to me, how it supported me, and I've taken my direct experience and then I've put it onto that over there and shared it with people. Okay. That is now me completely done. I am now going to move over to the astrology chart for us and give you the astrology of this process. Okay. All right. So let me get my little annotation here. Now that we have the message of what to do emotionally with Saturn, all right, here's the astrology. Okay. So first things first, Saturn sits 25 degrees in Capricorn, and as it goes direct, it hits retrograde Mars in Aries. Okay, so it's been hitting retrograde Mars in Aries for a while, but on the day that Saturn goes direct, as you can see, there's a little S next to it, means stationary, and it squares Mars at 25 degrees as well. I mean, come on, look at this, right? 20 minutes and 25 degrees, and Mars is at 20 minutes and 25 degrees. You can't make this stuff up. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts, right? That exact precision. Look at that. So that aspect hits over there. Now, one of the things that a lot of astrologers won't tell you because they don't know it is that when a planet is retrograde, like in Mars's case, and it makes a contact to a planet that is direct, the planet itself becomes retrograde through the aspect that it is making a retrograde aspect to, meaning that, like in this case, Saturn is in conjuncting the North Node. So that in conjunct is, the planet is in a retrograde form, but it's not, I don't want to confuse people here, but it's moving, it's aspecting that North Node, right? So that will just be a normal Saturn direct in conjunct the North Node. But with Saturn squaring Mars, Saturn and Mars will say, hey, we're still in retrograde tango. So it's important to know that even though Saturn is moving forward, its contact to Mars while Mars is in retrograde form will say to us, this is where we are still looking to create right action. And that's why I was saying to you that with Saturn moving forward, we are still looking to internalize a lot of the new directions and insights that we're experiencing with Saturn moving forward. So even though Saturn says, let's go forward, Mars is saying, hold on, when it comes to reflecting on your inner direction, we're not going to move forward just yet. And so we're going to feel a lot of restriction. So there will be initially, I think, probably up until maybe at the beginning of November, we're going to experience restriction regarding Saturn and Mars. So trying to move forward with things. That is actually trying to say to you, it's about shift in perspective. So the limitation with Saturn and Capricorn is saying, what perspective do you have that needs to be adjusted so that you see it in a different way? All right. And this is about what I shared with you earlier. I said that we are Saturn and Capricorn, squaring Mars and Aries. We are wanting to lead in a new direction. We're wanting to change the pattern. We're wanting to make things happen. And Saturn and Mars are saying, let's do it progressively. Let's do it incrementally. Let's not just rush ahead and try and fix all the things in our lives. Let's look at something, ground it into the emotional body, and then move forward. Look at something, ground it into the emotional body, move forward. And the way that you do that is you just look at your life. You just pay attention to what is taking place in your life and just sit for 10, 15 minutes and just say, what is right for me? What is authentic for me? What is the right thing for me at this point in time? I know I'm living in an old senescent society, but I am moving towards more authenticity. So how can I make small choices in my day that honors that authentic action at Mars and Aries? Okay. And the inconjunct to the Gemini North Node is we're open to new vistas. So Saturn and the North Node are saying to each other, hey, let's be open to new vistas. And you can see here with Mars retrograde, it's making a sextile to the North Node, right? And Aries and Gemini's sextile equals openness, curiosity, spontaneity, exploration. So you're looking to apply those keywords. Be curious about something. Be open about something. Before you define it, be open about it. Okay, what is that really about? What is this about? What is this experiencing, this limitation showing me? Does that make sense? Okay, so that's that aspect. And you can see here Venus sitting at 26 degrees in Leo in conjuncting Saturn. Now, again, as I said before in the previous astrology update, I encourage you to go watch that. The aspect between Leo and Capricorn is the relationship between the parent and the child. So Venus moving through Leo is saying, as Saturn is about to go direct, it will provide us with the insight of the relationship between the inner child and the parent. You can only be authentic and real if you have a parent that allows that space. So going back to my message to you earlier in the beginning, I said, if you want to come into a space of following purpose for your life, you need to be able to organize and create a reality around you that validates that inner space. And for a lot of us, we didn't get that. We didn't get that emotional mirroring. We didn't get that emotional space to develop that. And so naturally speaking, this inconjunct between the 5th house and 10th house, or 5th house being Leo and the 10th Capricorn, is we will struggle to see how we're trying to align our sense of direction, our sense of authority with our creative purpose, right? So this adjustment is busy taking place for us. And that's why you'll feel the adjustment as a limitation or frustration. And all it is it's not a frustration or limitation or a block on purpose. It's just to say, don't act right now. See what it is that needs to be uncovered. If you have childhood trauma, observe how some of that might be affecting you. Observe how you might be sabotaging yourself. Observe how you might be still criticizing yourself. Observe how you may be still feeling inadequate or insecure. I'll give you a personal example from my own personal life. When I was growing up, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, I didn't feel like my parents supported me, right, in my school. They didn't. When I was growing up and going through school, I didn't feel like they were supporting me. And it really, really, I internalized that as there was no support or structure around me. even though I wanted to aspire or like put my energy into something to make it work, I was showing up, that other support wasn't there. And so because of that, I could have unconsciously just projected onto my own daughter, like, you know, you got to get straight A's. You got to get straight A's. You got to get straight A's. So all of the expectation, all of the pressure on the child, like I had. And then here's what happens if you don't. So I remember very, very clearly coming back from school and my parents being like, you didn't get straight A's. You're grounded for the whole entire school holidays. Or um, I'm going to punish you for not getting this thing by XYZ. And then I was like, okay, you have all these expectations of me, but nobody's given me any tools. And that's something that I carry with me, in the sense that every single time something that I can't do like breaks down, or I can't fix it, or don't know how to interact with it, the wound that shows up for me is, but nobody showed me how to do it. I would do it. I'd be able to interact with it and understand how to do it, but there's nobody that's showing me how to do it. So there's this absence within myself around feeling like if I wanted to do something, I would show up, but then there's nothing outside that says, here's how to do that. Now go try it out for yourself. So today, with Saturn's retrograde insight, I was like, okay, if my daughter comes to me and says, hey, Dad, I'm trying to do this over here, I will go, okay, well, let's see how we can teach you. And then when she learns that, she gets the confidence, and then she can be able to do it for herself. And that's what I want to give her relative to my own childhood. And that's what I mean about this energy at the moment. Where in yourself are there things that have been absent from the people that were raising you? And how can you support yourself now and reparent yourself in a way that gives you the things that you want? Does that make sense? Okay. 2 things I want to say, right? Neptune moon conjunction, right? So when we learn about personal boundaries in space, Saturn, we're learning about how we define ourselves. The moon Neptune is reflecting how we're dissolving the old boundaries and how we are learning to heal from those places. So the moon Neptune, in my case, would be feeling into the absence of that and saying, you know what, that's what it was. There's not much I can do about it, but here's how I can take agency of my own life now. And that's what I want to leave you with today. I want to leave you with the sense that how can you take agency with your life? How can you take charge of your life? How can you use the Chiron in Aries to heal where you feel that you want to take charge of something, and then there's this block or there's this gap in front of you that you keep falling into. Okay? So here are quotes. Actually, before I go into the quotes, I'm going to talk about the Libra aspect here, right? When Saturn goes direct, we have Libra, Sun in Libra oppose Chiron in Aries. And that aspect over there is adding to the limitations you will feel and experience externally. Okay? What do I mean by that? So another brilliant display of astrological amazingness. All right. 7 degrees, 7 degrees, 25 degrees, 25 degrees. Right? It's just so cool, to be honest, to see that as Saturn goes direct, you have all these exact oppositions as well, or exact aspects being made. And so the Sun in Libra is reorientating your psychological and emotional relationship to a new way of doing things. You are reshaping the relationship to yourself. You're reshaping the relationship to the world. You're reshaping the relationship as you interact with everything. And this is all about reshaping the relationship relative to the wound that we all carry with us around what it was like to live in the old paradigm, and where the old paradigm had its limitations. So in my case, for instance, with my parents, they were raised by people that gave them these perfectionism type of complexes. And so now they just passed it down. And by passing it down, they didn't actually have any of the tools to provide that with them. And so the wounds that created from their conditioning passed on to me. And so what we have an opportunity to do here is to liberate ourselves from those wounds. And there's the Uranus trining the Jupiter Pluto, or particularly the Jupiter. And here's the Sun in conjuncting the Uranus aspect, right? So we have sudden changes regarding our somatic trauma, somatic meaning Taurus, around our self-worth value. There's Libra, changing the relationship to that. And we are healing that experience as we move through the old and into the new. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's move to two quotes that I feel are really, really supportive for this here. And it says, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." Ralph Waldo Emerson. I love this person so much, right? And it was kind of cool to look at his astrology chart as well, because he's got a lot of Aquarius, and that's where Jupiter and Saturn are going to be in Aquarius. And this is it. Do not go where the path may lead, right? Jupiter, Saturn in Aquarius. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. We're all here to discover our own myth. And the only way to know your own myth is to decondition yourself from the collective impressions that say to you, this is where you need to go, and follow your own process. Now, that can be scary for a lot of us because we haven't been able to be tapped into the true self. And that's why all of the things I said right in the beginning of this thing need to be done so that you can live a life where you actually allow yourself to experience these things. To be yourself in a world that is consistently trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Do you see the Saturn in Aquarius, Jupiter in Aquarius energy? This is what we want to get to. Now, between now and the end of the year, fair enough, the energy might not fully give, like we won't have all that space, but we are mastering this. So Saturn's last degrees in Capricorn is about the mastery of the self. So I leave this now in your hands and your responsibility to take charge of your life and find the agency to find meaning in the way that you have. Take out your astrology chart, start looking at the transit of Saturn. If you feel that you've got some questions, write them in the comments below. I'll respond to you there. But now, through this ending over here, take this inspiration, take this place and start living according to the path that is yours, okay? And being something other than what the world defines you to be, okay? All right, everybody, don't forget Saturn course, links in the description, and I'll speak to you in another video. Have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.